My name's Danny Salino. I'm the current president of the country club this year. On my way out, fortunate enough to MC this event because unfortunately our MC of record, Mr. Pat Quinn, has family responsibilities tonight, so he can't be here. On behalf of the Bramlett family and our board of directors and our golf management staff and our honorary members, we want to thank everybody for being here today. We're going to have some speakers here tonight. Besides myself, we're going to have Ernie Moreno, Roger Maltby, Bill Johnson, Don Alio, Kevin Payton, our incoming president, and we're going to ask Joseph to say a couple things. We have a very elite group of honorary members in this club. I'm sure you guys are aware of some of them. Ken Venturi, Don Edwards, Roger Maltby, Gary Plato, Hank Luceni, Ida Parachi, all very accomplished golfers in their time. But I'm not going to be talking about golf. I obviously know nothing about it, evident from our instructor, Joseph, you know who that is, who manages to yell at me every other week down on the driving range. I'm going to save that for people who do know about golf. I want to talk about Joe Bramlett, the person, and what you've accomplished as a student and a teenager and a young man. So we know you started in our junior program, and we all know your success there. Continued on to St. Francis High School. We know your success there, your golf accomplishments. But what was more impressive was your 4.0 GPA and your scholastic achievement. That segued into a 4-year scholarship at Stanford University, one of the most accomplished universities in the country. You finished your studies in 4 years. I told you to stay for 5 and spend your father's money, but you wouldn't listen to me. But another impressive accomplishment. But what we're most impressed with is the fine young man that you've turned into. And you've been an exemplary athlete, representing your school golf teams and San Jose Country Club. But more importantly, you've represented yourself and your family with your courtesy, respect for others, your demeanor, your humor. You're always well-mannered, you're always well-dressed, you're kind, you're likable, you're loved. To your parents and all of us members, and maybe not so much for your generation, but if you see all these people here with gray hair and bald heads, that's the kind of thing that old people like. We love that stuff. Okay? That's really important to us. Okay? In fact, speaking of gray hair, I've seen your father's hair virtually turn 2 shades greater in the last 8 weeks. Watching you go through what you went through these last 4 weeks and put your parents through that, it's easy to understand. But why do we really appreciate what you've become? You drive out this gate, you drive down that hill, you go about a half a mile, you see a bunch of people, a bunch of kids with baggy pants and tattoos and their hats on backwards and their pierced ears. And everything that doesn't bode well for the future of this country. And of course, that's an old person's opinion, but you know, that's really what you see when you get out there. Granted, your mother and father gave you a great opportunity to grow up in a country club environment, especially one with as much history as this, but you took advantage of it. And not only did you enjoy the pleasures, but you gave something back. Your name's in the record books for accomplishments from juniors to club championships to county championships. You've been even more successful as a role model to your brother and sister and all the kids in our junior program, not only today, but for years to come. And these juniors will look up to you as a leader, not only by that great swing of yours, but your impeccable dress and character. I've always said success is weighed not by the car you drive or the money in your wallet or the clothes you're wearing, but by what you left behind. And measuring what you have left behind is remarkable. I think that one of the things that's important is the garden you grew and the great example that you had. And that's what your parents and our members are most proud of. Our club has over 100 years of history, and you just added another chapter. And there's another fine accomplishment you can put into your record book. That said, on behalf of the membership, congratulations to the fine young person that you've turned into. And we're looking forward to your continued success, not only in the golf world, but on the road of life. You know, lastly, I realized something watching that last day of Q school, like most of us were. Joseph might be the only person I may ever meet that may go his whole life without ever taking a job. Think about that. You work. You actually work, right? You have to admit, you actually work. All right, I want to introduce our next speaker, Ernie Moreno. Come on up.
Thank you. The mid-90s was a great time in my life. It was a time that I got to meet the Bramlett family, Marlo, Debbie. Jessica was around. Joseph was born in, what, 88? Yeah, so you weren't quite grown into that head yet. But met my family. Can you hear me correct now? Okay. Met my wife. I've been playing the San Jose Country Club probably since the early 70s, and always loved this place more than anything on earth. So blessed to be able to join here in the mid-90s. About the same time that I met Marlo. And this whole story about Joseph, I'm going to cut to the chase here, is about a boat. And I said to Marlo, I said, you know, you have a young man who's a golfer? He says, yeah. I said, what are you doing? He says, well, we get up in the morning about 5:30 and we head over to Turlock Country Club. I said, you head to where? He said, Turlock. It's just a couple hours. We go, we play golf all day, and get in the car, come back home, do it again the next day. I said, you know, I know you're not the sharpest tool in the shed here, pal, but there's a golf course right, you know, right over here. He goes, hey, you know, this and that. I said, you know, really, there's got a good deal there. It's about 30,000. He said, where am I going to get that? He said, you know, I got a boat. He said, you know, don't use that boat much anymore. Used to use it a lot, and I was trying to impress the ladies. He said, I got one of those already. He said, I don't have to do that. He said, well, let me think about it. But basically, that's the story of how the Bramletts got here to San Jose Country Club. But more so than that, it's what a parent, unlike, you know, the same as, much like many of us have done, sacrifice for our children. Debbie and Marlo would go to the ends of the earth for their children, Jessica, Joseph included, and Jordan. Wonderful children, all very successful in their own rights. Jessica's a junior at USC. Jordan's being recruited highly by Mitty and St. Francis to play some hoops, and quite a great basketball player. The backbone of the family certainly isn't Marlo, it's Debbie. You know, very proud of you, Stadium United. If I could say one thing about Joseph is that I would walk to the end of the earth for him, and quite frankly, I practically did while he was growing up, and caddied for him in a few events. The first event of any stature that he tried to qualify for was in Sacramento. Trying to qualify for the U.S. Junior Amateur. It was about 114 degrees, and Marlo and Debbie asked me to carry the bag 36 holes at Rancho Murrieta. Absolutely do anything for the kid. I was dousing myself with water throughout the day because my thighs would have caught fire. By the time I was done with 36 holes, you could hear me screeching up the 18. It's 114 degrees, and I'm the only one soaking wet. It's the only thing that kept the fire me from igniting. But again, I would walk to the end of the earth for this boy, and the Bramletts came here because they thought this would be a great location for Joseph to be able to practice and play and matriculate his golf game to the next level. They've never looked in any other direction other than to put Joseph in an environment where he could succeed in that, both academically, personally, and the environment. And the environment is San Jose Country Club. And as many of you can attest, being here, from Hank Luceni to Gary Plato to Roger Maltby, Gary Vanderway, David Larson, people that have been here for a half a century. There is no greater place to play golf than San Jose Country Club. And Joseph is one of our diamonds, and he will continue to be such moving forward in the future. But if he does not make a dime on the PGA Tour moving forward, it doesn't matter, because what he's accomplished up to this point, in my opinion, is the pinnacle of being a great human being that he truly is. And beyond anything else that he'll ever accomplish, he's a good kid. And with that, I pay you honor on behalf of our family.
Well, hi, everybody.
Hi, Roger.
Always good to be here. Lord knows I've spent a lot of time here, not maybe in the most recent years, but like Joseph, this was my hangout. And Joseph, I am like everyone else in this room who's extremely proud of your accomplishment. And I'm probably the only person in this room that really knows what that was like and what it took to do it. You have now the opportunity to live a dream. And part of that is just getting on the tour, I understand that. But now you have a chance to live the full dream. And I know there's more involved. And I fully believe that you have the skill set and the mind to do it. You know, if I could get into just a little bit of advice, so to speak, and make it public. The things that I know are true are, A, don't ever let anybody tell you you're not good enough. And 2, don't ever believe for a second you're not good enough. Those things you need. There are a lot of parallels other than us just hanging around the same golf course. You're very fortunate to have great instruction from Bill, Butch. You get great advice. You're very fortunate to have great parents that love you and provided and gave you the opportunity to spend your time playing golf, to develop a dream, to play it professionally, and to see how far the game can lead you. And those are all pretty special. But here's the most important part, and you should always keep with you, is that for all your mom and dad's and everybody else's best intentions, and for all the love, support, and gifts they've given you, it's not their dream. It's your dream. And only your dream. And let that lead you. Because that's what will take you to where you want to go. And be proud of your accomplishment, because it's a big deal. Nobody knows what it's like to stand here. You know, they watched you do it, hit the 5-footers, 8-footers, one after another, and then all of a sudden you had one that really, really meant something. And you faced a lot of them along the way, but this was one that you had to make. You knew you had to make. You
you stood and did. They can't do that for you. I've watched Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Billy Casper, to name a few that obviously gave their children all the love, care, opportunity they could possibly give them. But you know, what they couldn't do was give them a golf game. They couldn't do that. You earned that. So keep that with you. You seem to be, from the times I've been around you, back to, remember, you qualifying for the U.S. Amateur at Oakland Hills and being the youngest ever to do that, which was a tremendous accomplishment right there. But in watching you, you're really a nice guy. Don't be that nice. I'll tell you right, be polite, be respectful, play by the rules. Don't be that nice. Because you're going to play with a whole bunch of guys, and you know most of them. I mean, you've played collegiate golf against a great many of them in amateur golf. And you know who they are, but there's going to be a lot of guys you never heard of. And they're really good too. You know, they really are. Appreciate the golf you see. Learn from the golf you see. But don't forget how you got there, why you got there, and who helped you get there. Because I was very fortunate to have an Eddie Duino in my life, to have a San Jose Country Club in my life, as do you. And people that support and care about you, that are always watching, and always rooting for you, and always wanting to see you get to the next level. Gary Plato's here. I had another one. And you got Bill and Butch. You know what? They were good enough to teach you how to get where you are now. Don't get out there and think that somehow your swing's not good enough, or you don't have enough. You got plenty. All the answers that are left reside within you. And as long as you believe in yourself, you know, you'll make it. And that's all there is to it. So be resolute. You can do that. I know you can. You know, it's kind of funny, we're talking about playing a game. And I can remember, you know, Danny Weisdorf and said something about half a century, which is true, it's over half a century. But 36 years ago, literally, we had a similar deal for me. Remember, Coach? And I was the kid that everybody pulled for and everybody cheered for, and I was their guy. And you know, every time I came home, at times it was hard to practice because everybody wanted to come up to you and talk to you and see how you're doing and this and that. And tell you, you know, I remember you when you were this big, and one thing and another. And that's all well and fine, but it can impede you getting your practice and then things you need to do at times. But since we're talking about a game, let's talk about a childhood game, because now I'm old and I'm done, and that's fine. And I got to live most of my dreams. I can't say that I got to every one of them. I came up a little short, but I lived a lot of them. But now at this point, tag, you're it.
Thank you, Dan. When Dan asked me if I could stand up here and talk about Joe for 45 minutes, 4 or 5. I could talk about Joe for hours. You know, I was very fortunate for Donnie actually introduced me to Joe when he was 13, and you know, a lot of parents will bring their kids to me and say, you know, I really want you to look at my kid. He's pretty special. And I've seen a lot of it, but yeah, there was something the first day I saw Joe, and as a junior grows up, I just kind of feel my job is to make sure that they go through growth changes, their clubs fit them, their grip doesn't change. But Joe was one junior I really never had to worry about. You could just tell. And I'd say, like, when he was 14, we know he qualified for the USAM, but when he was 15, he qualified for the junior USAM. Then he was 16, the USAM again, then 17, the junior AM, then USAM again. Through all this, he's played about 10 USGA events, I believe, with the US Open. You know, he's grown about double his size. When I met him, he was pretty small. That's it. You know, I could tell he had something special that right away, obviously, and then watching the USAM. But when he came back the next year, when he's 15, that summer he's at Stanford, and you have to go through a 36-hole qualifier to play in these USGA events. And we were at Stanford, and I was there in the first 18 holes. I was watching with Marlo and Debbie, and Ernie was caddying. And that was back when Marlo had to wear dark glasses so Joe wouldn't see his eyes. Marlo had some expressions in his eyes that Joe could recognize. And Debbie would actually hide behind the tree so he wouldn't see her as nervous as she was. So we really never saw Debbie. She was there. The thing about Joe that year, he'd grown quite a bit. And all of a sudden, like the week before, all of a sudden his golf swing was different than it was for the last 2 years that I'd known him. And it wasn't right. It was really long and loose at the top. And the first 18 holes he played, we were walking along, and he didn't hit the ball very well. He scored well. Somehow he shot about 1 over par, but it wasn't pretty. And that's about the time Marlo pulled down his glasses, and it's lunchtime now between the break, and Marlo gives me a little look over his glasses and says, "Are you going to say something?" So I go over to Joe's after he's having lunch, and I go sit next to Joe, and how's it going out there? I said, feel good, I'm pretty close. All right. How's your burger? Oh, it's good. All right, go get him. I go back over to Marla, because what'd you say? I said, let's see. I have to leave. I get a call about 4 hours later. Joe came in as medalist. He shot 4 under in the last 18 holes. I don't know if he hit the ball any better swing change, but you know, Joe just figures it out. And that's the thing about Joe. And that's what you know when you have something. At the young age I saw that Joe has ownership. He knows what he needs to do, and he can get it done. You know, he's beyond his years and his ability to focus. And when you get around Joe and you get to know him, he is, like Roger said, he's a nice guy. But he's smart, he's educated, thinks well, and he just, if you're around him, you look good. If you caddy for Donnie, you give him the wrong, excuse me, if you caddy for Joe, I'm not saying Donnie gave you the wrong information, but just say you give him the wrong club. And he misses the green, he's going to get up and down from par, so it's okay. His short game's incredible. He just makes you look good. He's going to make San Jose Country Club look very good. He made me look good as an instructor, obviously, with that last story. Marlo thought I was pretty good. In fact, I think this is the first time Marlo's heard this story. Joe's special. When they write books on how to think, you know, I don't think they ever gave Jack Nicklaus a self-help book. And I don't think Joe needs one either. Joe, when they want to just find out how to think on a golf course, they'll interview you, and then we'll all copy that. Congratulations, Joe.
Hi everyone, thanks. I'd like to thank the club first of all, and my boss Mark Braga for allowing me the opportunity to go caddy for Joe. I was gone for a few weeks, and it was a great experience. I wanted to share just a few stories about Joe the last day at Q School. First of all, Joe started in San Diego at stage 1. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the process, but Joe played 252 holes before he ended up qualifying, finishing 16th at finals. And I was there I went down after the second round at first stage because he said he needed some help, but he really didn't need any help. He played really well. Let me fast forward to Florida. The last day, Joe starts in tied for 33rd and starts out, pars the first hole, and then bogeys the second and third hole. And I don't know if you were watching on TV or just watching online, but it was 40 degrees out and it was blowing 20 miles an hour. And it was cold. I don't know how he hit the shots for the first 2 holes, but then he went ahead. So now he's 2 over for the round. He's 6 under par for the tournament. The cut looks like it's going to be 10 under par. And he birdies the 4th hole, pars the next 2 holes. And then when he gets to the 7th hole of the 6th round, granted, you know, conditions are tough. He's been out there for obviously 5 days and now 8 holes, and a lot of people are fried. In fact, his playing partners were visibly apparent. They started out bad and were rattled. But Joe, very confident, gets to the 7th hole, misses his drive, has to pitch out to the fairway, and he's in rough that's like this long. Has 85 yards, short sized it, hits it 12 feet, which I have no idea how he hit it 12 feet, but he hit it 12 feet, and he made the putt for par. So now he's still 6 over or 6 under for the tournament, and this is where he makes his run, and he birdies 5 holes in a row. Day 6 of tour school, he birdies the 8th hole, par 3, makes like a 30-footer. Next hole's a par 4, and I guess like all of us wish we could do, he's got like 292 to the hole. He drives the green over water, over a bunker, and 2 putts for birdie. Then the next hole is a driver 5-iron. So you have to think, for most of us in the room, it'd probably be a driver 3-wood wedge. And he hits driver 5-iron, makes birdie. Birdie's the next hole, the 11th hole. Birdie's the 12th hole. And a number of people have come up to me and said, you know, at this point, what were you thinking? And I was honestly thinking, I thought he was going to birdie out. I was thinking, like, all week, I was thinking, I know he's got like a 61 in him, and I was thinking, it's going to happen today, even though he's, you know, started with a couple bogeys. So he birdies, then he gets to 13, which is a par 3 over water, and hits it like 25 feet and 2 putts for par. And then proceeds to play the finishing holes, bogeys 15, makes a really clutch birdie on 17. And then on 18, he hits driver 3-iron, which again, for most of us, it's like an unreachable hole. And he hits a driver 3-iron, and as probably most of you saw on TV, he makes like, which was roughly an 8-footer for par, finishes 11 under. I get done, and there's a PGA Tour official there, and she asked me, she looks at me, she goes, what did he finish at? And I said 11. She goes, well, that's good, because he's going to want to talk to me when he cuts out the scoring trailer. So that was kind of the first confirmation that he was going to get his PGA Tour card. As well as thanking the Mark and the club, I'd like to thank Joe, because, you know, it's always my dream to play professional golf, and for a couple weeks, I get to stand right next to him and be a part of it. So I just want to say thanks, Joe. Best of luck. Side note, when he's hitting balls in the range, people stop and watch him, players. He's, I mean, guys are really, really good. I'm not going to say, like, I know what it's like out there, because I don't, but people stop and watch Joe. It's pretty damn good. Thank you.
So Joseph won't remember this, but 11 or 12 years ago, on some random afternoon, I was out on the first tee, and this little kid came up with his mother and his sister in a cart, and he's dragging a bag that was literally dragging on the ground. And I was a pretty solid 18 or 19 at the time. I thought, I'm gonna drag. I gotta drag this kid around this wreck. Well, thank God I didn't have a bet with him, because I would have got my ass kicked. I think after 5 holes he was 1 over, and that's only because he couldn't reach number 4, because he was, you know, he was tired from dragging that bag around. But, a couple things that I know we've all heard the great accomplishments. We actually have Santa Clara County champion 2003, 2004, 6. National champion with Stanford in 2007, U.S. Amateur 2002, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10. And we all know he qualified for the U.S. Open this year at Pebble Beach. Everyone here is very, very proud of you, Joseph. And as you know, we entertained the idea of the honorary membership for Joseph, and it really took us about 3 seconds to make a decision. We were just so proud to have you as a part of the history of this club, and so proud to the young man that you've become. And we watch you on TV and how you handle yourself with the press and with the pressure of trying to make an 8-foot putt for PGA Tour school. It's really impressive. It's really impressive. We are just tickled to be able to present you with an honorary membership of the club.
First off, everybody hear me? Yep. First off, I'd like to thank my parents, Mom and Dad. I never would have been out here if it wasn't for you guys. And from the stories that Ernie told, you know, you guys sacrificed a lot for me. So I just want to say thank you, and I really, truly appreciate that. Second of all, to the club. You guys have been behind me the entire time I've been here, and it is just, it's really unbelievable. Ever since I was a little kid, I'd be up here sun up to sundown, and I'd have friends asking me, you know, what are you doing tomorrow? And I'd say, well, I'm going to the golf course. I'd say, well, what else are you doing? I'd say, well, going to the golf course. You know, it really feels like home out here for me. You know, I just have so much support, and I feel so much love from the membership here. It truly means a lot, and it's amazing to be such a little kid and get to come spend the entire day up here and really feel like I'm on my own, but I'm not. You know, I have the entire membership and everyone behind me, and just so many familiar faces. It's truly something special, and for the club to be as generous as they are and feel that I'm worthy of an honorary membership, just 22 years of age, is very humbling. It's something that I will certainly never forget, and I will do my best to represent San Jose Country Club to the best of my ability. And again, thank you very much.